Cleaning time.
This video is called
Cleaning time.
How I Became Involved with Art. Well,
Cleaning time.
I cannot tell you exactly what happened. I made this choice to love this woman, and I was in Amsterdam, and then I got thrown out of Amsterdam, and I landed in my old room at my parents' place.
Cleaning time.
And I felt incredibly depressed, like suicidal, to say the least.
Cleaning time.
Oh shit. Oh god. It just started raining then. Cleaning takes strength, right? Like this takes strength. I'm just saying. It's never just the carpet. It's never just the dust. It's yourself. You've been living in this. Everything that happens in here stays unless you clean it. So it's to pick up on these fine differences between it's clean and it's dirty, disgusting, it's a mess, right? You have to be able to see this. Like to pick up on these shifts. You know, there's like a tipping point. Kind of like a point of no return where, right, like a beautiful kaleidoscope turns into gore. I'm just saying, that's why this is cleaning your mind. I have tested this many times. This is seeing, you know, I'm just reading Dune and it gives me new words. But it's what I have been experiencing. And what it says in there, that almost nobody can see the world that is next to it. So, how do they say it here? Well, it's in German. Oh, Jesus. Wait, where did you say that? I just felt like I just read it. Ah. There's a quote he's reading, so if I translate it, it's like Paul is reading this, so he's wetting his lips, and then he's reading, acknowledge the fact, or become conscious of the fact that a deaf person cannot hear. Does this not mean that we are all, to a certain degree, deaf? What? Well, what's this? It's not a sin. A sin in German is something else. A sense. What senses are we missing that we are unable to perceive the other world that surrounds us? What is right close to us that we cannot see. So, you know, this idea from his Dark Materials, right, that there are other worlds. I can see these worlds. The question is, what impact do they have on this life? Well, the law of attraction. If this becomes dirty, then I attract dirty beings into this. I want to attract clean beings into this. Right? This is supposed to be a space for children. And for children to thrive, right, you have to keep cleaning. And that is very important. So, this video is called How I Became Involved with Art. Well, I cannot tell you exactly what happened. I made this choice to love this woman, and I was in Amsterdam, and then I got thrown out of Amsterdam and I landed in my old room at my parents' place. And I felt incredibly depressed, like suicidal, to say the least. And there were all kinds of things happening. Like, I felt this devotion to this woman because I have a dream, and my dream is having my own family. And as I have often done in my life, I felt like something had to change, but I had no idea what. I was too heavy. I could not get out of bed. I could not do anything. I was just stuck. But I was also waiting for some kind of guidance, something to show me my way out. And I remember that for a couple of weeks of being kind of like suicidal, I just started making art. And I remember it to this day. I was kind of, I cannot tell you exactly how it happened. Perhaps it's in my content, right? It's possible. I don't know how much of it I described. I have certainly talked about this because I cannot bring all of this together in the exact order, right, of how it came about. All I know is there are certain instances that I remember, such as I was laying in this very bed that I just put up there, and I was drifting along some kind of heavy emotions or something, right? And I felt like giving in and dying. And then came this song, ba-dum, bum, bum. Another one bites the dust, da-da-da, dang, dang. Another one bites the dust, and I was like, hell yeah! Or I said, hell no, I'm not gonna give in that easily. And I don't know where the depression came from, not really. But I know that it was never that heavy. So I believe it stood in relation to that woman and to a lot of people that kind of put their hopes on me or something. But especially in relation to that woman. And so I simply made a choice, right? And that choice was, I'm going to continue. And then a lot of things happened, right? Amongst others, I started throwing stuff out. Lots of stuff, I just chucked it out. I threw away I actually had already thrown away my bed or something. It's hard to remember. because a lot of things also happened before the things I can remember now. Right, like I'm saying, it's really hard to put this together, to say this is what happened first and stuff. I just know there were certain moments in my life that happened, and at some point I don't know, my mother gave me these old drawing, like paper things, and I have no real perception of the reality other people see, because I see both worlds all the time. Which is why, I can see the light and the shadow. I see what's underneath. I see all your dirty laundry, right? And that's what to many people is really confusing, because normally nobody looks at that. Well, I pay attention to these things because your hidden intentions are as important, as, or probably more important, as the fact that you're giving me cake. Like, you giving me cake may stem from a hidden intention to keep me trapped. And I started to see these things, and I started to work with these things. And this is what it truly means to be a shadow worker, right? This is what it truly means to be a yogi, to see both worlds. You come to me, you act all nice, I see your shadow grinning at me from the darkness. And I simply had to get used to that, and this is what it means to open your third eye. To simply see what is, right? Instead of looking at, oh, society gave me sugar, you're like, yeah, this is like blood money, right? Sugar for my life's energy, just to keep me going a little bit longer, right? Just so I keep funneling it all, because sugar riles me up. It turns me loose, right? It helps them to extract my spirit, and that's a fact. That's why parents give their children sugar, to squeeze a little bit of life force out of them. And I simply started to kind of resist it. If I eat sugar now, I do so willingly. I'm just saying. So it's more a conscious choice. When I can say, hey, now I feel like eating sugar. Because maybe this is a space where I would like to open up. Instead of, I have no self-control and I'm kind of being forced to open up. Of course, who can really force you? I mean, in the end, it's always your choice. So I simply remember that what I realized was that making art helped me to transcend myself. But at the time I wouldn't have called it transcend myself. I would have just transcended myself. So I started making art and I realized, wow, something's happening that clearly has nothing to do with, I was experiencing states of consciousness that mostly people would have to take huge dosages of some kind of psychedelic, right? And I simply started to become the psychedelic experience, right? It's like you have maybe done ayahuasca and suddenly you become ayahuasca. I'm not kidding. This is literally how it feels like. I am no longer he who needs all these things, because I've hardened my body. And to a certain degree, this woman is, right, in a way responsible for my transformation. Because she wasn't too fond of, rapé and all these things, right? It seemed like she had some kind of other understanding of life. And in a way, I feel like she has been sitting on the other side trying to teach me, but I'm really reluctant to be taught anything because I want to figure it out for myself. So she couldn't really do anything. She could just sit there and, right, in the best case scenario, she'd just do her own thing then. Because I don't like being treated like I'm some kind of stupid child, which she tried to be doing, but she failed to see how my experiments with psychedelics truly liberated my mind in ways that she will never understand. And that's what I truly believe, right? So I have done things that she will never do, and she's probably going to do things that I will never do. So how I got involved with art, well, there was clearly this moment where I drank a quattro espresso or something. I had one of these 4-cup Bialetti stainless steel ones, which I later replaced with a 2-cup. But at the time I used this 4-cup Bialetti espresso thing, and I drank it with sugar, possibly some milk alternative, because at the time I would have still considered myself a vegan. Well, now I'm back to eating meat. So there were times where I just tried to clean my room with all this incense and stuff. But I realized that incense makes a lot of dirt that you have to inhale. So, you just do this instead. You simply put in the work. You just clean your apartment. You dust out your duster. Like by re-shaking it out of the window. But just make sure you don't fall out of it, right? Or you take one of these things that you de-dust carpets with, and blankets and cushions. And then you simply clean. And then you wet wipe everything. Right? And you can do it in stages. But what I learned was that this takes a lot of devotion to stay alive. You have to want to be clean, right? You have to want to be balanced, right? So you have to let go of a lot of things in order to be balanced, and to simply say, hey, I allow myself to be different from everyone else, even if that comes at the cost of maybe being alone a lot. So maybe if you feel like masturbating, you should just clean your entire room. Because the reason you masturbate is probably because energy is piling up and you can't get rid of it. Well, then clean. Right? And then go into nature and then clean. Right? Cleaning is a very essential, very simple method that makes no real sense if you think about it in a materialistic perspective. But neither does, why can I transcend my depression by making art? Well, because it's a way of cleaning. It's transformation, right? To transcend, for me, what it means is like this, right? Heaviness, you lift it up, and then it goes. Where does it go? Well, it doesn't matter. Something was stuck, you helped it move on. That's as simple as it is. And then learning to play like the guitar. This is my way maybe of playing, because I don't like everything super neat. Yeah, I don't feel like doing this now, but when I take the time and then I do these things, it's just my way of doing things. I don't know, I just like it. Plus I'm still learning, and that's what I like the most. But sometimes it's really hard, and I feel like there is this woman on the other side, you know, that feels a bit like a little girl, and she's like really struggling, and she just cannot get it. Right? She wants to do good, but she's so stuck at pleasing everyone, and I just don't give a fuck, right? To her it's like she's still trying to not give a fuck, you know. I really don't give a fuck. And some people, they just don't get it, right? They think this is like some kind of a game. I'm just putting up a, you know, like a facade, but it's not that way at all. You know, I'm just living this, right? I just don't give a fuck about what you think is right, because I just take one look at you and I know what you're about. And I haven't met anyone, so I talk about this woman like she did something, but she didn't do anything for me. I mean, I met her, I fell in love, and that was it. I just said, well, okay, I've picked her, and that's all. You know, I'll keep going in the hope that she will stay true to me, that we actually did share a true moment, but I cannot corrupt myself for her. I cannot try to be who she thinks I ought to be. But there are certain choices which I aligned towards her. So in a sense, yes, I kept making art simply because it's a method that worked. So it's not that I made art because I thought that it would make me look great. I just had no other choice. There were so many emotions coming my way. It's like I opened the box of Pandora, and I did so. Like my shadow did it for me, and my light was like, what's happening? And my shadow was like, that's what's happening. It was like your Beetlejuice, but on the other side of Beetlejuice is who? Right? That kind of angel that says, you know, it's so nice. And then Beetlejuice, yeah, I bet it is. So I'm glad I just watched Beetlejuice, you know. And I'm gonna watch the second one in the cinema when it comes out. So I have light and I have a shadow, and my light is this overly romantic thing, you know, that wanted to read The Horse Whisperer. And then comes my shadow and it says, what the fuck is this? That's not life. That's just romanticizing. Why does this woman cheat on her husband? You know, she should suffer some kind of consequences for this. You know, that's my reality. If I choose a woman, then this woman better be true to me, right? Because we're all beings of mind. So I don't just choose a woman, right? So I said I'll choose one woman, and if she doesn't think that that's enough, right, to be with me, then I'll just be alone. So what art is also something I could devote myself to, I could get better at. It gave me a sense of self-respect, of wow, I've done that, you know, I've done it, I did that, I have done all these artworks. And that's clearly a tough decision, to show yourself in such a toxic world. I mean, this world, you know, not just the internet, everything, everybody's unbalanced. Everybody lets their anger out on someone else. They all want an outlet, and all they can find is anger. Anger, anger, anger. And they think they have the right to be angry. Well, not in my world. You have the right to do whatever you want to yourself, but stop punishing children for your miserable childhood. I mean, that's your homework that you should be doing. For that you should be sweeping. For that you should clean out your apartment. For that you should clean out yourself, just to find beauty again before you ever work with anyone else. And that's just the message, right? There's people out there who get themselves a certificate and then they think they can work on other people. What gives you the right to pay for a certificate and then to play doctor, right? There's too many people who do that, including this woman that I constantly point out, because she did that as well. And I cannot stand it. This is whitewashing. This is acting like you're trying to help people, but she's the most selfish woman I ever met, right? She just wants to help herself. You know, if you've got something to give, then you make art. Then you pour it all out. But nobody that has something to give asks other people to join them for interviews in their podcast. That means you're empty, you've got nothing. Which is why you need to fill your life. You know, you've got some suffering to do. You need to stop clinging to other people, right? Oh yeah, I interview people, and so what? You use other people to create content. Yeah, but maybe that's what we need. No, what we need is true beings who walk their path, who do something out of their own strength, who go to nature, who do their yoga. A true yogi suffers alone, and that's the truth. Anyone who, you know, accepts money for yoga lessons lost his way. You can show it, but you cannot teach it for money. You say, you figure out your yoga, I'll figure out mine. So, how I got involved with art, I just started doing it. And there were people who tried to get me away from that for whatever reasons they had, and I simply kept going. I said, well, either you let me do this, or I'm just going to go into the forest, bury a hole, and you'll never see me again. Right? But there were always things that kept me alive, so I just kept going, and I stopped listening to all these people. I mean, I was raised, my father is a salesman. He's like lying about everything. But he's still there. So if you look at his actions, no matter what he said, right, he's still there. And so tomorrow I'm going there. So what got me involved with art? The feeling that I wanted to stay, to give stability. So I started making art, lots of art, and then I started reducing the things that I need, right? So I needed less coffee, almost no sugar now. I needed less of a lot of things, and it liberated me in ways that you can only understand if you start finding your own path and walk it with dignity, with strength, with stability. So do your cleansing, right? Whatever, anorganic sulfur or elementary sulfur or whatever you want to call that. I mean, I keep rejecting this woman because she's phony, and I don't like that. And I'd rather be alone than with somebody who keeps being phony. I mean, a man asks you to marry her, right? And then you sleep with the guy afterwards, but you rejected his proposal. What does that make you? In my book, it makes you a liar. And then people say you're too extreme, right? It's like, oh God, he's so extreme. Yeah, life is extreme. Nature is basically living from extremes. Is why you're all afraid of her. I cannot stand the extremes. It's like, go pick a fight with someone else, right? She thought she was really tough. Like, and then there was just nothing. There was just nothing to it. Okay, I actually thought I wanted to post this. I'm just gonna kick it out. I don't know, it's just, you think about what reality is, and you realize you've got no clue, and then you just keep living. Just doing what you feel like, and people think you're too intense. You know, if you completely open up and you're like, super, that's my spirit, that's who I am, you know, that's like full on nature style, people start shitting their pants, literally. Like, I have tested this. People run away from true beings because they're all liars and they know you can sniff their shit 10 miles against the wind. And then you can glare at me all you want. That's who you are. You're a phony, goody two-shoes liar who acts like helping others, but you cannot help yourself. Because the man you really want is still alone in this apartment while you think you're playing hide and seek. I mean, I'm just speaking from inside my heart space. Because from the moment we met, she was acting like super nice, but during, right, a hot summer night, it started to rain and we were together. And she couldn't even smile. And I was like, no, I don't know what you are so miserable about. This is the most beautiful night, you know. You are here, I am here, it's raining, I love it. You know, this could be nice. And you're like this sour-faced, like the little girl from The Secret Garden. And now imagine the little girl from The Secret Garden just started hiding her bullshit and just started acting like, I mean, that's everyone. That's like people who do their holy work in the church, right? That go around helping homeless people. Well, have you ever realized or asked yourself whether homeless people maybe want to be homeless? I mean, that's a valid question. I mean, in India, there are times, you know, there's people who just live on the streets because that's what they wanted to do. That's their way of choosing suffering. And here everybody comes like, oh, I'm gonna help you. Oh, do you need help? You know, I walk barefoot through the streets. People come and ask me if I need help. I'm like, you come to me, so you're asking for help. No, I'm asking you if you need help. It's like, do I look like I need help? Do I look, like honestly, do I look like I need help? Do I look like I need help? No, I do not look like I need help. You just think, oh, he's got no shoes. I'm sure he needs help. Can I help you? What do you want to help me for? I'm smarter than you, right? I'm like streetwise, you know? I go hiking alone in the forest. I have 3 degrees, my friend, right? I have spent years testing my abilities in my mind, outside my mind. You know, I can do this for 10 minutes. Maybe I should prove that in the next video. And then he comes to me asking me for help. Oh, he looks like he needs help. He's got no shoes. I'm like, what are you talking about? You asking me. I didn't talk to you. You came to me. You asked me if I need help. You know, I'm gonna mirror you that. I think you need my help. What do you want to know? Nothing. Take off your shoes, walk barefoot. You want my help? Go hiking barefoot. Stop hanging around in cities waiting for somebody to have a nervous breakdown. I mean, what's your problem? I mean, what's your problem? Cities are basically insane asylums. So what inspired me to make art? You can be as crazy as you want to because you're an artist, right? And you can simply flash people their own nonsense and then they say, oh, he's just an artist. Yeah, here. That's my art. It's the middle path. And I'm doing it with both hands. Because that's what stability is about. Oh, wow. And what was this? Oh, we expected automated behavior on your account. What does that even mean? You know, sometimes they act like I've got things to hide, but I'm never hiding anything. It just seems that whenever you do something, like as a true expression of yourself, they just act like you're really bad, right? If it's a bit too much, a bit too honest, a bit too truthful, they just act like you're really bad. And I just don't get that. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna post this right away. You know, this is something I really don't like. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm being drawn to the outside. I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow until I post this, or maybe I will just not post this on Instagram. I think I'm past that point. You know, this seems to be a little bit too much on many levels, but sometimes you just have to, I mean, what did I really say? I mean, this is just a spirited young man, right? Saying what's on his heart, what's on his mind. But if you speak like this, like super strong, you know, I'm very sturdy, I'm very tough. You know, I'm sharpened steel. And if I show that a little, that I've got something, then people say, oh, that's too much, you know. We cannot allow this. And then suddenly you're being restricted, right? You're being turned down. And I just don't get that. Like, what's the point? I'm just gonna check something. Because I'm constantly being rejected on many levels. And I simply don't like that. Because there are things that I feel like we ought to be able to say. But if you say them, nothing happens. So art is one way of saying the things that nobody wants you to say, such as, right, you're a spirit, and your spirit is being harvested by spending time on platforms in the virtual world, which is, it's not the virtual reality goggles. The whole internet is virtual reality. Because the really interesting stuff is happening inside your mind. But in order to spend time alone in your mind or invite people into your mind, you'd have to first cleanse it. And that's like maintaining a garden, walking around, looking at thoughts like a thought is like a plant, it's like a growth, you have to pluck it out. What art did for me, it helped me to focus, it helped me to make predictions. I draw a sketch, it shows me something about my life, right? It shows me something about my life. And then I can make predictions in such a way. And that is simply also, you're revealing something about yourself, and most people would never do that. which is why I'm mostly alone, because I know what my intentions are, right? I know what my intentions are. So first you have to cleanse yourself, and then maybe others will come and you can help cleanse them. But there's people that, I'm just talking about you buy a certificate and you just start playing doctor with people. The certificate is not, for most people that's just an excuse to torture people. I'm just saying. And I simply reject it. So yeah, what makes someone prefer to do things with other people instead of just doing it for themselves? Well, if you'd be honest about working with yourself, then you'd be doing art, right? But instead you just escape into conversations, into shared activities, because you just cannot stand being alone with a man, or you cannot stand, or at least not with me apparently, because I demand things. I demand truth, and that's a fact, right? And I question everything and everyone to the breaking point. And if you don't like that, well, it's good that you left me alone. Because what do we really have in common? Nothing. I've been like this all my life, right? I rather sat alone than being liked by everyone. And that's where you find truth. Alone. So what do? Well, you clean. And you do so without moping, without bickering, And you try to do it with as little struggling against it as you can, and then you wipe what you touched. And this is a way to stop clinging, right? I mean, but there's also a lesson here to be learned. If the way I am keeps this woman away, then I know she was phony, and then I know that she simply is too weak. And I cannot stand weak people. So if you're too weak to overcome your insecurities, right? Well, then what am I supposed to say to you? Because clingy women, right, they need all kinds of friends, they need all kinds of things. And I just don't like that. And why do I not like this? Because I don't know, I'm very specific. And as much as I would like to like a lot of people, they always keep me away from doing what I actually want to do. Just being myself. Which is why I say I actually don't have friends, right? I'm never gonna like you more than you could like yourself. And that's just a fact. So there's people that I have invited for a barbecue, and then they think all they have to do is like my content or something. I'll never go to that dreaded park again, unless I'll just be passing through it. And that'll teach you a lesson, because I can be anywhere else in the entire world, right? And I'd rather be anywhere else than where you think I'm going to be next. So you will never get to where I am. And if we should ever meet, then I will just turn around and walk away. And that's very simple. And so you'd have to be really convinced that you want to spend time with me, or otherwise you'd not last a second. Right, I'd just be on my way, and I would just let you stand. Like, you would just have to be able to come hiking with me without doubt. You just have to keep going under my guidance, and that's all I'm asking. And if that's too much, then keep playing with your little friends, right? Keep acting like you're helping people instead of living the life that you would actually like to live. Right? So, life is not about worshiping Christ. It's about doing what you came here to do, but under no flagship, but simply following nature. That's the natural world, right? That's what should inspire you. And this is where I draw my strength from. Right? I mean, people are afraid, clearly afraid of nature. And so they started hacking her to bits because they shit their pants from the natural world. Right? And I simply reject this. I simply worship nature. I mean, I have a tick. Okay, I'll keep it on. I'll take it off. But there were times where I was also afraid of ticks. So, I'm just saying, you know, there's sometimes people that start following me and then they stop following me simply because it's too intense. The energy is too intense. It simply rejects them. They cannot stay in my space because it's too intense. They do not do the cleansing that they should do. Right? They're afraid to listen to what I'm saying because they're afraid to look at themselves. I mean, I haven't cleaned like this in a long time, but I still, you know, don't want to clean everything. I'm still clearly reluctant to give in to the me that is cleaning, but and then people say, well, maybe we're just too different. Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that because you have problems to open up. Because if you open up to a woman, you're gonna get pregnant. And believe me, there's lots of women who are really afraid of that. I'm just saying. Because it means moving on. I'm a master in moving on. Which is why I'm a master in living. And this is what a lot of people just cannot do. You know, I can get rid of you with 2 sentences, 1 look, and you'll wish you'd never seen me. This is what you do not get from my videos. The intensity of a truthful encounter. Facing the beast. You know, and I'm not even a lion. You know, if you face a puff adder in nature or a black mamba, you know, if you're chilled, when you're true, she probably won't bite you. Because then you paid attention and you maintained the boundaries. Oh, but she'll bite you, alright, if you get too close. So yeah, I mean, I learned something from the Horse Whisperer. And that is that the guy who wrote the book has no idea what he's talking about. Because otherwise he wouldn't have written the book. Because then the Horse Whisperer, I believe, could have never been tamed by this Annie character. Or maybe I don't get it, right? Maybe I'm just romanticizing. Maybe there is no true woman and husband, but I don't care, right? I have made choices that cannot allow certain distractions. So yeah. This is how you clean, by the way. You have to put in the work. If you don't put in the work, nothing's gonna happen. Well, it's not like I really enjoyed this. I mean, it's clearly only nice to a certain degree. But I do this because I see it as a necessity. But there are more things that I actually would rather not do. I'm just saying. Most things I'm just doing as a necessity. Yeah, I'm first going to do this room. Right, I never liked anything very much. And I never liked people that think they are very good at things. Right? And that cannot stand losing. I mean, I'm just saying. It's just something I'm doing. But if I don't clean once in a while, I will just do nothing. I mean, this is spirited away, kind of, right? She went to the spirit world and then she came back or something. Whatever. How much time passed? I'm just me, I'm just nobody. You'll never get that. Because I'm not living in the same world as you do.